baby. We are back. Man, I have missed all of you so much. And as I always say, hiatus, as much as I love hiatus and the break, man, I miss being in front of you all and miss bringing you the best possible show that I can bring. I want to thank you. My name is Don Terrell, and welcome back to another great episode of The Color of Motion, where I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that, hey, if you don't know by now, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this after almost 200 episodes, I am just crazy about, then hey, you got to know that by now. I am super excited and just, like I said, elated to be back. Super excited about this episode, to dive into this episode. You always know the drill. Hop into the comments. This is an interactive show. Like I said, right now, this is episode 196, and now we are in countdown mode to our 200th episode here. Let me get this here. 200th episode. We are in countdown mode, and I'm super excited about it. It's gonna be it's gonna be a party. It's gonna be a party, and we're gonna have a celebration, and we're gonna be doing fun giveaways, prizes, have some possible past guests stop by and just pop in and say hello, wish us a happy 200th. But obviously, I could not have made it this far, without you, the viewers, and without all my special friends coming by the show. I want to thank you, like I said, giving me a little bit of your time each and every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Time. We are here. We broadcast live to the YouTube channel, LinkedIn, Facebook group, and the website for the show. But I always encourage everybody to hop on over to the YouTube channel, get plugged in, hit the bell notification so that you're notified when great new content goes up on the channel, when the show goes live, and all that good stuff there. Also, I would greatly appreciate if you help support the channel. If you want to support the channel and the content that I put up, I love a great cup of coffee. And who doesn't love a great cup of coffee? Well, there's a few, but I love a great cup of coffee. You can buy me a coffee.com/Don Terrell. In a little bit helps me to continue to bring great content, great guests to you, and all that good stuff. Mr. DeWine, appreciate you, brother. You should have gotten an email. Hopefully, let me know that, like I said, all my past guests, I'm hoping that they would stop by. So, if you want to stop by, jump on the show. I definitely want to have you back on, brother. So you should have received the email with all the information and everything, and you'll be receiving more as the time gets closer. But I'm definitely wanting past guests to come by and stop by the show and really celebrate with us. Miss Maggie, I always appreciate you supporting and coming by the show. I hope you stop by our big 200 celebration. Like I said, we're planning on having a big shindig party and having all that kind of good stuff there too. So cannot thank you enough. As always, big shout out to the sponsor for today's show, DG Graphics. They do all the graphics, overlays, animation, all that good stuff. Basically help me look good. So if you're a business and a brand looking to level up, create engaging content, I definitely and highly encourage you to reach out to them. Like I said, this fourth quarter, I cannot believe we're in the final stretch of this year and in the final stretch of season 5. This year is going by super fast. Before you know it, we're already Halloween season. We'll be celebrating Halloween. But before you know it, it'll be in here. Got a lot of things planned. Like I said, we're going to be doing the 200th episode, November 1st, 3 p.m., as always. Also, we're going to be doing a special 2-day again this year at GamesCon. Film Festival in Vegas. So you definitely want to make sure you join us then as well. And Barry, Barry will be coming on. Barry Gaines will be coming on uh, just before then. I got him scheduled for the end of November. End of November, yeah, in November, because it's going to be the first week of December that Gaines Con is going to be on, and I'm going to be out there doing a special 2-day live of the Color of Motion again. So super excited about that and having him back on to tell us about what's going to be happening in Gaines Con. Okay, with all of that, I think we are ready to get this show on the road. I am super excited about today's guest. We are going to dive into some deep conversation about motion design, what I love, and specifically biomedical motion design. So let's get this show on the road.
Are you being serious right now? You'd let me interview you as super.
Whoop, sorry about that. I think I was hooked to this first one here. We're going to back and we're going to jump right in to here. All right. This is the scene. Sorry about that. All right. My next guest, he is an animation visual effects, was his major, graduating in 2012, and he started in games studios such as 2K Sports, Monochrome Games, and Digital Cybercherries. He later brought everything that he learned from games and put it into the medical training and commercialization visuals. And I'm super looking forward to diving in because we're both motion designers and we love motion design, but definitely looking forward to diving into more deeper the industry of biomedical motion design. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guest, and friend, Mr. Halleck Sway.
Hey, great intro. All right.
Awesome. Mr. Halleck, people don't know that we met, like I said, about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, and found out that his family lives in the same city that I live in. So we were fortunate enough to meet in person and have lunch and stuff. So great that to finally get you on. I knew I wanted to get you on because we were both in motion design and was intrigued. That was our kind of connection point. So I'm super excited, Halleck, to be on.
Me too.
Really talk motion design, really talk the industry, really to dive deeper into kind of what got you into motion design. And I always love to start by kind of finding that out. What was it that kind of perked your interest and initially kind of got you into this space?
You know, I kind of wonder if anybody else is the same way or if anyone isn't, in that it starts when you're a kid and you get extremely inspired by what other people have done. Just looking at paintings or their comics, things like that. And that's never died. I don't know if other people, if it changes for other people, like you're inspired as a kid and then you no longer later, but that's never left me.
Yeah.
The paintings I've seen, my parents had a friend who's an artist. He had just tons of paintings, just crazy painter. It's all he does. And then just going walking around in La Jolla, looking at their galleries in San Diego here, seeing different ways of thinking. And I was wondering why I was so intrigued. I think that's what it is. It's just different ways of thinking, different perspectives.
Yeah.
Like Goddard was one of my inspirations as a kid. When I saw his work in the gallery, Michael Goddard, he does the olives dancing around the martini glasses and this like photorealistic at the same time in the casino backgrounds. And
Mhm.
um, that inspired that made me realize there's just no limit to your imagination, no limit to your way of thinking,
Yeah.
and different ways to think. And I had a really good neighbor growing up. He's a old guy in his 80s, and he's a great painter. He made these bronze ships. He's a sculptor, and he made these bronze ships, and he sold them at the fair. Funny guy, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Passed away about 10 years ago. But people growing up, they inspired the heck out of me, and
Yeah.
I was uh, just sucked in, and that's all I ever thought about, really, aside from school, having to go to school. And then my parents took let me go to drawing classes, and took painting classes.
Yeah.
And my dad would sit out because it was kind of far away from where we lived, so my dad would sit out outside of his house, outside of the teacher's house. I learned it as the teacher's garage. Is my old master watercolor artist, extremely good watercolor artist. Also a guy in his 80s. um, and my dad would just wait in the car for like 2 hours while I learned, every Saturday.
That's awesome.
That's how I grew up. All the way up
Yeah.
until towards the end of high school. They're like, no more art. You need to focus on school. You're gonna, so they cut me off for like a
Oh
couple of years.
man.
So,
But you realize though, as you go through this journey, how crucial that is to have people that inspire you and keep you going through it. Because you were saying just a minute ago, how some people can lose their passion. It is easy. I think when you get, you kind of keep it, but then when you start getting into, you have to make money now, you have to
yeah,
earn a living. I think that's when it's a challenge to really start to hold on to that kid that's inside of you and not let life just kind of beat it out of you, type of thing.
100%. And that was the biggest worry, and tons of arguing, conversations with the family, parents when I was growing up, just, thinking that, you can't go be an artist as you're going to you're going to starve. You can't be doing this. You got to make, you're going to struggle too much. We know people in Qualcomm who, you can get a job if you just get an engineering degree, if you just do this and that, and so, and I tried, I believed it, and I tried. So, doing all the, I took as many AP classes as I could. And I'm a C student. I wasn't that great, a CB student, when it comes to math and things like that.
Yeah.
So I just barely, I couldn't get into UCSD as in my undergrad, because I was 0.05 points off in my GPA. I couldn't apply. It was,
Well, and then you think about it, and I
barely.
think that's the mistake a lot of artists, again, not a lot of artists, and I'm just not going to limit it to artists, but just
Yeah.
people. They try and fit themselves. They're like a round peg trying to fit themselves in a square hole type of thing. They're trying to fit themselves in this thing that is not really the direction they want to go and what they're
Yeah.
trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think
And
now it's even more important listening to your own voice of what it is that, inspires you. It makes you happy.
Yeah, no, totally, exactly what you said. It did felt like I was a square peg trying to go in a round hole, and just couldn't fit. And but it ended up being a good thing in that it's like, oh, I guess I can't get an engineering degree, but look, there's work in animation. And then I got a brochure from Academy of Art University, and it's like, oh, here, mom, dad, look at this. There's animation. There's Pixar's going bigger and bigger, and these game companies, there's just, there's work here.
Oh, man. Well, do
And
they have a
yes,
different opinion? I mean, now times have obviously, progressed since you first started. Do they have a different idea and a different perspective of just the industry and art and animation and motion graphics now?
just barely. I
Oh,
turned 35 years old, and I think it was a couple years ago. You know what? No, it was just last year when I started partnering with the spine surgeon, Dr. Cho
yeah.
Kim. My mom, for the first time, I'm 35 years old, tells me, I think you chose the right path. First time in my life, it was anti-art, everything for up until
Oh
then.
man, too
But to
funny.
their credit, they did pay for my
Yeah,
undergrad. It was animation VFX, so I can't, it's a lot of money. I can't say that they were against
yeah.
it the whole time, but it was arguing the whole time. It was, hey, it's not
I
too late to
think
be a
like
lawyer. it's not too
Yeah.
late to be a programmer. She kept saying that.
You have to look at it like, yeah, they're just concerned. They just want the best for me.
Of course, it's out of love
But
for sure. Yeah.
fortunately, like I said, they didn't smother they encouraged it and they helped you in the areas that they want, that you needed help with. Mr.
Yeah.
DeWine, welcome, Halleck. He says he welcomes you. So
Thank you.
welcome to the show. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you. Thank you,
Uh,
man.
okay. Oh, okay. I'll see if I can make it. Like I said, it's not anything that I'm putting out as a must for former guests. I'm just saying we're going to be doing the show. It'd be nice you pop in. You don't have to stay the whole show. Just pop in. Hey, happy 200th episode. Pop in, say hello, and what's going on. So it's going to be a party type of thing for sure. Mr. Patrick, appreciate you stopping by. I know you love the show. I always appreciate you supporting the show and sharing it with your community. So I thank you for that. Um, what was it? I mean, initially, did you have any illusions of wanting to do different kind of motion design, or were you always thinking biomedical or in science type?
No, actually, I wanted to do animation. I just knew I wanted to make visuals. I wanted to make stunning visuals. I saw what other people did, not just Pixar, but just everything that I've seen. That just whether movies or games. I wanted to apply um, my abilities in painting. And by the way, this is accrued over many
Yeah,
illustrations and paintings that I did that I achieved certain levels that I wanted to aim for. If you go to halleckarts.com, that is the gallery of my work, the traditional painting. It's about the study of light and it's about the study of reality and ways to express that. I don't like it when people say art is expression. That is such a cliche, but really it's a study. We had to understand light and shadow. We had to understand the bounce of light over forms of objects and different perspectives, like literal perspectives in terms of angle, but also the metaphysical perspectives. Um, but what I'm trying to get at is, I wanted to use that and put it into something useful. I wanted to take everything I learned and apply it into something useful. And so even though I aimed for animation, like in film, the jobs weren't there when I graduated, but the
yeah,
jobs were in video games. So they're in video games is somewhere that can use me. I got hired at first it was Monochrome Games. I started with them just for free for like just my very first uh, group, and they it was a zombie game, and then after that 2K Sports, um, and so on. Two other smaller indie games as you game studios as you mentioned earlier. So and then the pivot into biomedical field was I had to really think about it. It wasn't an overnight thing. I was unsatisfied with where I was at. Um, it was 2025, and I was working at a game company, and I wasn't making, you know, salary was okay. It wasn't too bad. I can't say it was bad salary, but I wasn't fulfilled. It was just
yeah,
another game. It was just I didn't feel like I was doing something really great for society.
yeah,
I wasn't gonna be, I didn't feel great.
yeah,
So I started to look into other aspects. I wanted to have my own business. I wanted something where I can design the game for once instead of just listening to somebody else, or maybe not a game. It didn't have to necessarily be a game. So then my dad mentioned, they really wanted me to get a Asian parents. They really want you to get a master's degree. Yeah, and I didn't want to go back to school. I did not. And so, but he saw me taking stabs at starting businesses
yeah,
and failing and
yeah,
sucking at it. And he's like, dude, just get it. What about an MBA? Okay,
yeah.
because you
Business
can
degree.
you learn business. It seems like you love it because you're doing it anyways. I was like stopping the work.
Yeah,
I quit my job to do it and not have any income. I was just going, skydiving downhill financially. Um, and so he saw that I was able to do that. And then they said, we'll front the money if you can, at least if you can get in, if you can do it, then we'll front the money. So I said, okay, fine. To try to get into UCSD then.
yeah,
Let's look at their MBA program. And so, and this is, and I want to be open about this because a lot of people have these stories of I started from nothing and made all my success from nothing. That's not true in
Yeah.
my case. Maybe for them that's very honorable, but that's not true. I had the help of my parents. They worked
Yeah.
their butt off. They're immigrants, and they put all that money. It's a lot of money. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
into education for me. I can't let that be unignored. So
Yeah.
this is what you see is not a one man job.
Yeah.
Um,
And
I
I'm not a
mean,
big fan. I'm not a believer of the term self-made.
sure,
I don't, people, throw that around.
we need
Nobody's
each other
self-made. I don't think anybody is self-made. You got help from somewhere,
all along the way.
advice, something.
Yeah,
Somebody may
yeah,
have said something, did something.
yeah,
Somebody helped you, so you're never
yeah,
self-made.
yeah,
You're never a self-made person. So when
yeah.
people say
And we should
that, I'm
honor
like,
that.
really? No, you're not
Yeah,
self-made.
really. Yeah,
You're not self-made.
yeah,
Nobody's self-made.
yeah. No, and even though I'd like to say I did everything myself, it was with a lot of help. It was with, like you said, advice and mentors, and good mentors and bad mentors. People I shouldn't have followed, and just all up and down spectrum. But so yeah, so we I got in finally, and like I said before, I was a C student, B student in high school. So I hated academics. I just want to do visuals. But I hunkered down and took the GRE. I studied for 6 months every day, 4 to 8 hours a day
Uh,
at the library. And it'd be practice tests. It'd be those books. I ended up with a stack like this big. I have a
yeah.
picture of myself holding just the practice tests and with the essays and things like that. So finally, I got the most average score possible on the GRE. It's like 150. Like I looked up what's the average score on the GRE. It's 150.
It's, I
150
just
points. I got
made it.
150 points. I just got exactly. That's all I needed. What
Hey,
bumped me in was yeah.
what is
Well,
it? What
what
does the
bumped me in?
football? What does the football team say? It doesn't matter whether it's 1 point or 20 points. We won. So
Yeah, exactly. It's just all I need. It's all you need, right?
that's all
And
you
and,
need.
that, and it taught me something. It's like what? You don't need to be a genius to get places. You just need to
No.
at least just do what needs to be done.
No. Well,
You
how do
know,
you feel like that education has helped you, you know,
it, it transformed
bridge
me.
that gap of, business and being able to do the creative as well?
Absolutely. No, it transformed me. It changed me. Those 6 months in the library, I'm telling you, there were times where, and it's not just practice tests, it's also doing a real test
Yeah.
in the middle of the 6 months to see if I can get in. You can try multiple times. Um, and, and so there was a time where I was just like, I don't think I can get in. I don't think I can do this. And it was because I got a score lower than I wanted. And I was really upset. It was like, I, I'll be, you know what? I'm just going to be open here. I cried. I thought I'm
Hey,
never going to get there, and it's just many hours, many months just gone down the drain. And I was just like, maybe I'm just never going to be smart enough. Maybe I'm just never going to be able to do it. And I took another test, and I kept going for another 3 months, and it was just, I finally got it. I'll say it's not just a GRE practice. It's they wanted UCSD wanted to see what contributions to society do you have in mind.
yeah.
How do you want to do that? And so the essays on how I said I wanted to take visual arts and put it into medicine if I can, and and I gave concrete examples such as reishi mushrooms. They're doing research on reishi mushrooms.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah.
beneficial properties of it, whatever. But at least we can get it out there, get the word out there with great visuals. And maybe it's not even just about visuals; it's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
combining the visuals with the scientists speaking, and so on. So I think that scored points for me. And I remember the day where UCSD came in with the letter saying I got accepted into their MBA program, ecstatic as hell. And then after that it was history from
All
there.
downhill from there.
Yeah, yeah. So that
Wow.
was that time. Those 6 months changed me. I never think it was no longer Halleck's too stupid to get somewhere. It's okay if I need to get somewhere, I'm going to put in the work,
Yeah,
and it may not manifest itself for many months, but you gotta do it every day.
yeah.
And so I tricked my brain. Whenever I got a full page of accurate answers in my practice test, I learned that your brain is malleable. So I did little smiley faces, as silly and stupid as it sounds. I did little smiley faces to trick the brain, thinking,
Yeah.
okay, good, good, dopamine hit here,
Yeah.
dopamine hit there, and then because I like the 300 movie Spartans,
Yeah.
when if I get a full page done at the bottom, I say today no Spartan dies, it's a little thing that kept me going, and
Hey, it's those
my
little things. It's those
yeah
little things, and you made a great point as far as understanding that, and we're learning this now, obviously with neuroscience and everything that's out there, that the brain is, hackable.
yeah
It's
it's
a
hackable.
muscle that you can train and you can
Yeah,
form new
you can change it.
pathways
You
and
can form it.
changes
Yeah,
and things.
yeah,
And habits. So definitely,
totally.
I'm totally there with you myself, and it's hard. And I I have this conversation a lot with my sister. It's a hard thing to break a habit or change a
Hmm.
habit that you've been
Hmm.
doing just unconsciously for so long. It takes work to be consciously ready to change it and
Yeah,
make it something different.
it's
So
it's
any
tough. It's
little
not right.
thing
It's
that
not
you can
overnight.
do, those little biohacks that you did are great biohacks to just reinforce and, like you said, give yourself the dopamine hit
Yeah.
that we
Hmm.
so all crave.
Give yourself a piece of candy, whatever it is. I don't have a sweet tooth, so I didn't do that.
Yeah,
But something that you got to reward yourself to give yourself that dopamine hit
yeah,
whenever you hit a little milestone progress
yeah,
on what you're trying to
yeah.
achieve.
Well, I
Yeah.
want to ask you because we are, and we talked about this the other day when we connected, just how the industry is, now, and specifically, biomedical industry. But I would like to get your thoughts on just one, the industry as a whole, of just what motion designers, animators, creatives are kind of going through right now, and then two, dialing in a little deeper into medical animation and the challenges that come along with that.
Absolutely. Challenges is the word. It is extremely difficult to find work, and it's extremely difficult um, to just get in. So even just going back 10 years ago or 15 years ago, when I was at 2K Sports, they were already hiring out work
Yeah,
to Malaysia, to Korea, and getting 6 times cheaper
yeah,
the jobs back in. So when I was sitting in the room, it was me. I was a junior texture artist. There was a one 3D modeler next to me, and there was one animator next to me, and then there was one more. He was also a modeler behind me. So two modelers. It's a small tight group, is what I'm saying.
yeah.
And all they were doing, they were checking hundreds of other people's work
Right,
from Malaysia,
right.
from Korea. So they would come in with the 3D models of the characters or the jerseys or the props or whatever, and all they do is just tweak a little bit here and there.
Yeah,
So all the jobs were shipped out. This was 15 years ago.
yeah,
So just the internet alone did the work of eradicating our work, our jobs here. It's very, very, and I don't think it's changed, because just working with the clients I'm with now and managing my own business now, I'm still outsourcing,
yeah.
because it's tough to to pay everything at the price in the city
Uh-huh.
you're living. Um, you want to
Yeah,
lower your costs as much as possible. It's just the reality of it now. If somebody can do the same job in India in video editing um, for a tenth of the price, I'm sorry, I'm trying to survive here. I'm
yeah,
gonna I'm gonna be hiring that person instead of
yeah,
here. Now, don't get me wrong. I've still hired people here in San Diego. I've still had clients who are able to pay high enough
yeah,
so that I don't have to go cheap out that way. But how often does that come? For me, it's not that often. It's not the majority. For somebody like Chris Doe, majority, or the people that he teaches, and I'm trying to learn from him. Yeah, the higher paying jobs are probably more frequent than what I'm getting, but it's not always up there. The reality of it, it's not always that high paying, but you need
yeah.
to survive. So the outsourcing is inevitable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, that's
So,
across the board that, every, industry is kind of facing now just the influx of having to deal with, okay, it's a global market. And, a lot of companies are outsourcing.
yeah.
Um,
So
this,
so on a bright side, it's not that okay, we're screwed. It's that, okay, we got to change our mindset into every individual in the US now. We need to be able to make things bigger and better than what one person can do. So we have the tools of hiring somebody overseas. Okay, well, then making a website is not a problem. Then doing video editing is not a problem. What's the problem? The harder things to get are the raw footage,
Mm-hmm.
the the specific things that matter to the clients that you can't just get off stock footage. The putting everything together, coordinating it. For me, and a 3D animation and simulations, getting the whole video to be finished and coordinated with exactly the right pinpoints of, let's say, going into the spine, exactly the right angle. The people overseas aren't going to know that. I have to study with the clients here and study on my own. I have to know exactly the right tools that they're using and get the 3D models of their tools made. They're proprietary. So we have to be able to do things that are bigger than what one person
Yeah.
can do. Yeah.
Oh. Well, I
And then we
mean,
can charge more and all that.
yeah, and, and which you referenced this before, and I always highly recommend to people to go back and watch, some of the episodes, because believe it or not, there are some great interviews in there, and I've had some great people on here. But you did mention Chris Doe. He was a past guest, and he talks about, again, Chris was a former motion designer that moved into educating and talking about the business of being a creative, and
Yeah.
knowing the business side of it, of being creative. And he's big about really, expressing and knowing your value and your worth, and being able to clearly express that to people, what value you bring. And I think in that, in the sea of everybody in the internet, everybody's, a motion designer, everybody's an animator, everybody's this, and you're not only competing with the student that you went to school with sitting next to you, you're competing with somebody clear across the globe. So how do you clearly articulate the value that sets you apart, different than what anybody else can do? I think that's the
Yeah.
challenge now that creatives are trying to think about. How do I, bring and show the value of what I can do, and how I can help businesses, you know, in their bottom
Yeah.
line, type
Yeah.
of
And
thing.
and to address that, and it's not just me, the clients I work with, and I see them every week, and I sit with them. I'm at the doctor's office twice a week, and then the biomedical Pomelo Bio twice a week. I sit with them, and they're also telling us to, hey, stop doing the lower level work. We need you to hire the right people. Just just check with us on the budget, on the price, and then we need to get them to do those, like the website, the labels or graphics of the product. Let them take care of it, because that's standard stuff. We don't need to spend our time on that. What we need to spend our time on is strategy,
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out exactly the right pieces that they need in those items,
Yeah.
and why.
Yeah.
Okay, the demand is here. Okay, this demographic likes this. Here's a area that lacks what we can provide, and
Yeah.
so we need to address it very clearly about this item right here. And and then okay, now go hire the people to go make it, and you have to direct them.
Yeah.
And it is a little micromanaging,
Yeah.
because they're not going to know exactly. No,
No.
the people you hire overseas, they're not going to know
No.
the
And,
properties of the
and
drugs, or yeah.
and
So
it's even and I found, and it's even after that point that you deliver it to them, which you would find out, in the beginning. How are you? What's your even plan for even using this content that I'm creating for you? Is this, you know, how can we maximize this content that I'm creating for you, as opposed to just using it on the website or just using it on social media? How else
yeah,
can we leverage and bring value to this piece, that I'm
yeah,
creating for you, that type of thing? And then they'll start to understand, okay, it's not just for, I can use it for so much more, to educate and really illustrate what I'm trying to show to people.
yeah.
I'm
It,
curious how you're. No, go ahead, Halleck, if you were going to say something to that.
well, I was going to say, to address your point, is it's it's understanding what people need, what the
Mm-hmm.
problems are, and essentially that's the market. So to understand the market and see the market, which is, if people have pain, people are using certain products for joint pain and muscle pain. Okay, well, we have something that could do better than the other products out there. Why? How do we know that? Because we did our research and figuring and seeing, oh, people are complaining about the current products a lot. It's short lasting. It's not that effective. It's, and they don't like the smell or they don't like the consistency. It's too expensive. We see all the pain points in the current products and we see the price points of the current products. And then we have a product right now, as with Pomelo Bio, they have something that can address at least, more than half of those current outstanding problems. And then we go to market that way. And in our messaging, in the wording, in the visuals, it addresses those problems. Hey, we're better than these guys because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And so it's a research behind it and going out there. I'm literally out there at the booths, selling it to people, talking to patients, not patients, people in pain at the running events, at the marathons. People have knee injuries or long-term problems with the back and things like that. So yeah,
Are you
understanding the
finding,
world.
yeah, are you finding, because you are talking to doctors and obviously people in the medical, industry to, showcase the animation work that you're doing and the importance of really illustrating and visually showing the process. Are you
Yeah.
finding that, medical professionals, they get the need to use, visuals, such as, medical animation, such as, VR, such as, mixed reality. Do you see them getting that they need to start to leverage mixed reality in what they're doing, or are they already doing it because of the nature of just medicine and having to visualize things before they go into a patient?
It's a great question, and we're at the forefront of it right now. It's a challenge. We want to use VR. We see potential in VR and the high end graphics that require a headset or require more setup. It's way more immersive than anything else we've ever seen, but it's been extremely difficult to find adoption for it.
Yeah,
I have had, I've sent out thousands of emails, and it's been very costly. Thousands of emails. I have people helping me with it, and I've landed um, uh, 3 different meetings with different spine surgeons at this point, and they say the same thing. It's cool. We like it. We think we want to use it, but I don't know how to make money with it. How do we make
yeah.
money with it?
And I
How does
think,
the economics work with it? Yeah,
yeah, and I think that's where that person that does well, will do it. They can bridge the gap to show them, and that's the thing, with any client, because most don't get it how they can use it, and most haven't even
yeah,
thought about, like I said, how am I going to
yeah,
use this to make money, or how am I going to use this, to help my bottom line. That's almost a part of what we do, is to help educate them on just how are you going to use this, because I've had a lot of people come to me, oh, I need a video. Okay, well, what's your plan for this video? I just need a video. That's not going to work. Just saying you need something, or just feeling like if I throw a video up on my website, or if I throw a video, one post of the video, it's going to work. No, you need a campaign on how you're going to get this out there and use it. And most people haven't really thought about how else can I use this, and how else can it, help me, you know, business, make money. Eventually, the bottom line, whether it's awareness or a campaign, is the bottom line is to bring money in. But we spend a lot of time educating clients on just the need of how they can use it, why they need to be using it, and where they
yeah.
can best use it.
Yeah, it requires clarity on both sides of people. We need us, the creators, understanding that, and we need the clients understanding that. And yeah, so to your point, educating them is huge. As far as the VR stuff, it's that's the to me it's the toughest.
That's the
Some people
toughest.
have claimed that they've used it, and we spoke to USD here. They said their nursing program uses it, but um, when I talked to Dr. Kim, the spine surgeon,
Yeah,
where we like it, we think it's cool, and we've done simulations now where you can navigate on the website, you can see exactly where we're entering the spine, very clear visuals. Um, but we're still asking other doctors and other universities, is this really helpful? He just came out with a new social media post. Is this really helpful? It's cool, but and looking at the industry, simulations, 3D simulations is a huge industry. It's in the billions.
yeah,
one of the bigger notable companies, so CAE, but they do aviation.
Yeah.
Aviation training was the first and most pervasive use of VR because they're required to
Yeah.
do that twice a month, the pilots. And then putting that into medicine, I've seen it used in military.
Oil and
But
gas, all
yeah,
of it.
so
Yeah.
it's simulations itself is, it's proven to be useful. But when I research the different companies that are actually making VR for medicine or surgery, I see one or two where they actually have concrete examples, but it's not a lot. And the companies listed who say they do VR or medical training with 3D models, it's just not a lot. It's not compelling. You go to their websites, there's not much there. Maybe it's all behind closed doors, but then
Yeah.
why is it so hidden? It's not like, it's not like selling ice cream where everyone just knows it, that it's
Everybody
going to
wants
sell.
it.
Everyone wants, it's going to be easy. This is
It's
we're
a
still in
hard
the murky
sell.
waters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
VR
we're trying to figure it out.
which is, yeah, which is why I've just been kind of experimenting and playing with it. Definitely haven't offered it as something that I do. Um, Maybe
Sure.
an experience for it, but I know VR is still, it's not like AR. That's why I'm focusing on AR, because that's with a phone. Everybody has a phone, and you're not tethered to a computer
Yeah,
or a device type of
yeah,
thing. And until VR gets down to where they're, glasses like you have on and that type
yeah.
of thing, that's
One day.
when VR and mixed reality are really going to start to take off, when the technology. Apple Vision is there, but
Yeah,
that's still bulky. I mean, when
yeah,
it gets down to prescription like glasses like that, and we're seeing experiences and able to see experiences and have VR and mixed reality experiences, that's when it'll start to be big. Right now, I'm focusing on AR experiences, because
yeah,
a phone's readily, pretty much everybody has a smartphone and can access an AR
yeah.
experience. So
Totally. And that also addresses the problem of a lot of people aren't gamers. They're not
yeah,
techie, especially in the medical field. They want something that just works, So we've been using just web browsers,
yeah,
3D models that just function and work smoothly on a web browser,
yeah,
and embedding it with the doctor's text and with the doctor's video all on one page.
yeah.
We have top-surgeon.com, called Top Surgeon. It's a new brand that Dr. Kim and I are working on for teaching. You'll see that being implemented already. But like to your point, it's easy access, something that everybody has, because not nobody, but a lot of people, most people don't want to go figure out a whole headset, and
Most
it's
people
really hard stuff.
will be like, have you seen Electric State on
No,
Netflix? You should watch it,
no,
because it kind
okay.
of goes along that headset. Everybody's wearing headset, reality type of thing. But
Just having fun with the topic though. I can imagine if I'm about to die, and there is a company who's made it so, okay, maybe your body's dead, but we can preserve your brain, and you have to live in this simulated world. Put on this VR headset, and and you're off. It's
Trust
like
me, they're
immortality.
working towards that. I'm pretty sure there's a scientists and coders and things, people that are working towards that very thing, because we all
I,
want to live
I always think
forever.
about it.
But to that point, where, like I said, technology is getting crazy. Software is just getting more powerful. Computers are getting more powerful.
Yeah.
Technology is moving at the speed of light, and with
Hmm.
AI, it's going even faster than that.
Yeah.
Where do you see, like I said, mixed reality, this blend now, motion designers, and I don't know if you ever watched like School of Motion. You've heard of School of Motion, right? With
So familiar.
with Corey, Joey Corman runs School of Motion. Great.
It sounds
If you,
familiar. I'm
yeah,
sure I've come
they
across it.
teach motion graphics. You can learn Photoshop. You can learn Illustrator, Blender. They coming out with courses in all these motions, but they teach motion design. But he was saying how this line is starting to blur on what defines a motion designer, with all that we can do in
Yeah.
animation, graphics and this and that. Do you see this blurring of the line of creatives, just jumping into all these different apps and disciplines?
Yeah, and Absolutely. Back to my point earlier, it can allow us to do bigger things than what we used to be able to do as one person. So, so yeah, the jobs have been taken away from concept artists because of AI. That I have no doubt on. But hey, concept artists, why don't you use AI, come up with a slew of concepts for a beautiful game, and then pitch it and find the right people to execute that game or execute that film or something. Now it's almost like we can skip the concept part, but you're not skipping actually. You're still trying to craft it. But if you're an artist, great, you can go in and tweak things. But if not, we can at least we should have no excuse to establish great concepts now.
Yeah.
And then we've Andy and I are my programmer in for Into the Rabbit Hole, another game we're making on the side. That one we use AI to help them with the coding in Unity, and I use AI to help with some visuals that
Mhm.
if I don't have time, because I'm
Yeah.
working daily, uh, the concept art, some of the assets, the 2D assets. They, I haven't been able to find a solution for 3D assets yet, so I'm still modeling on my own. Um, any chance you're able to show a picture of the game we're working on? Or
Yeah, let's jump over and take a look. You know the drill, everybody. Hop into the comments. Say hey. I always want this to be an interactive show. Chung, great interview. Appreciate you tuning in and staying tuned and stopping by. But let's jump over and take a look at some of Halleck's work here. But he's well, that no,
yeah, so
we're gonna jump over to the game you were talking about.
yeah, that was it.
Oh,
I
that was
mean,
it.
I
Okay.
know we're talking about biomedical, but this is where it all originated.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
if I hadn't started doing this with my guy Andy, I didn't know I can do simulations on my own like this because before then I was always working with a bigger company, working with a bigger team, and I was just making the visual assets. But just me and one programmer is all I need. And if you guys check out the game, tinyurl.com/into rabbit.
Yeah. And we're
Tiny
gonna be
URL.
sharing all these URL links. You'll be able to get all the links in the show notes for sure. Um,
Sweet.
but
But yeah, mhm.
definitely, you were just mentioning like, being able to do simulations. I mean, with tools now like Unreal, Unity, now we're able to do and create these amazing things. Individual artists now are able to dive into these amazing things. What are you,
Yeah.
like I said, you're mentioning software. How do you see some of the tools now that are starting to come out? Like I said, Unreal, Blender, we got some amazing tools that are free or very low cost that people now have access to. Creators now have access to.
Absolutely. But don't be fooled by the fact that it's free and that anybody can go learn it. It's true that anybody can go learn it. It's many, many, many hours. It's many, many months. It's years of
Yeah.
practice. Not just to get to where I am, but if anything, I'll say I'm the slow one. If for most people, maybe if they put in as much time as I did, they'd be further than me. But even though it's free, it's not easy.
Yeah.
The AI side of things, it's getting plugged into the game engines now, so we can create an NPC where you can speak to the character, and the character responds in how we tell it. In terms of this character, it's a merchant, so anything that this character says should be he's trying to sell you something, or you feed him the story of the world, so the character will spit out words that match the storyline of the world. But it's done with AI, so we're not pre-writing, other than the background. We're not
Yeah.
pre-writing what the character says anymore. So you're interacting with the character as if it's ChatGPT, because
Yeah.
literally it's using ChatGPT for that. Yeah.
Well, do you think it's an all or nothing thing now for creator that, with AI that, you either learn it or you get left behind, or those creators that, they may see the potential of it, but it's just not something that they feel is, necessary for them. I
No,
can see
and
the beauty, the value of it in kind of the um, I guess advertising space of it, because you need so many iterations of things and it's easier to use it. But just say the artist or you know motion designer, would it be of value? Is it something that you would say every artist should learn and get familiar with AI because they're going to get left behind?
I would say you should, but you know what? If you come up with a good story, just like people have been doing for centuries, if you come up with a good story and you just get some simple graphics out of it, just get some simple visuals, even if it's simple drawings, and you just get it out on the platform, people will like it and it will sell with or without AI,
Yeah.
as it always has been. People connect with the story, the characters, the acting. The AI can help with like, making the environment look better, or maybe extrapolating the story a little bit, or cleaning up your script, or giving you, a little extra on your script. Um, I think you should use it. I think you'd be falling behind without it. But no, I think people lack the ability to come up with these stories. I think with or without AI, I'm not so sure AI can make the stories that really connect with people, that
No,
really
I don't
address
believe they
the problem.
can myself. You know, and
Because it comes from
that's
your personal life. It
yeah.
comes from your world and your life.
That's that's always been my stance. As useful as AI can be in certain
Yeah, it's
situations,
a tool.
I don't believe it'll ever take the place of the human emotion that people bring to
No,
any piece that they do, whether it's
no.
artwork or whether it's a story or whatever type of
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, we can live with it. We can feed it in. Here are the current problems in the world, and here's my way of addressing it. Here's a perspective I have on it. You can feed that into AI and say, "Oh, come up with this script for me," or whatever. But it's just a tool. But there's
Yeah,
never it should. I don't think it'll replace human to human connection. The things that really sell.
yeah. And we're looking at some more pieces from
Yeah.
Mr. Halleck here. Does some amazing work for sure. Um,
So there's some architectural renderings.
yeah,
That was
well,
a project on the side. We're doing a
uh,
low key, but it's one of our
I,
businesses.
I always have so much respect for for the people, which is why I didn't get into like architectural visualization. There's a certain thing about accuracy that it's just
Yeah.
it takes a certain person to really illustrate or model or do something that has to be accurate. Um,
Sure.
and I could appreciate just the beauty of medical animation and showing that, just like I can appreciate oil and gas animation and showing a process of something. And I don't know, and hopefully she'll tune in and show up for the 200th episode.
Yeah.
Hillary, if you're watching, I had Hillary Wilson on a couple of years ago, and she does medical illustration to
Okay.
2D medical illustration, but does beautiful illustrations on just all the body parts and everything. So, but she has a degree in medicine, so that
Okay.
type of
Even
thing.
better.
Knowing it and illustrating it is
Then you
is a
connected with it.
challenge, even
That'd be
more
great.
of a challenge when you have to learn it. You're not a medical person, but you have to be versed enough in what they're talking about to illustrate that. How much of a challenge is that for you when you're getting a project and you're having to know, okay, I'm gonna have to research and see how this works and just understand the process of how I'm gonna visually show this.
Yeah, I call it weekends and holidays because that's what you'll be using up. Yeah, Starbucks, weekends and holidays. Just hit. You know what? There's. I don't want to do it every weekend, but there's a charm to just kind of leaving everything behind and getting the books that you need. By the way, expensive books, like five
Yeah,
hundred dollars for one of those spine books, and just going into it. And ChatGPT helps. Actually, when I was studying this, there was no ChatGPT or I wasn't
yeah,
using it very much. But Google, really, there wasn't any excuse ever since Google and YouTube came out.
yeah,
Um, you can learn anything. You just gotta. I remember spending 6 hours going through like 10 pages in that book because I was just ramping up. So because I was looking up every little word that, okay, I don't know that word, look it up. I don't know that word, look it up. And then what I learned from another doctor way back said this: the way to learn anything really well is to rewrite it in your own words as if you had to teach it to somebody.
yeah.
and,
No,
and that helps. So what I did was with the textbook on one side, laptop for Googling and YouTubing on another, I have a notepad to rewrite it in a bullet point, you know, in my own layman terms,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
and that really simplified things. And like by the time I spoke to the doctor, I still got things wrong, but he corrected me right away, and I understood it right away as soon as he
yeah,
corrected me.
yeah.
So at least I thought the dorsal root ganglion, those nerves coming out of the spine, I thought those were prickly, because we saw pictures of it being prickly. It looked like
Yeah. No.
like a
That's a good thing.
prickle surface.
You'll
Yeah,
have your
like
own
super
MD
smooth.
by the end of it. You'll be coming out as a doctor by
Uh,
the end of it and
it was
learning.
very specialized. I only need to learn that specific piece that that they need
Yeah.
me to know. But of course, with some basics around it too.
Yeah.
But you know
Well,
what? Spine wasn't as hard as I'm not saying I know everything about it, but it's people think there's thousands of items in the spine. It's not. You got the yellow ligament, you got the vertebrae, you got the disc, the end plates, which is a thin layer around the disc, and you have the nerve roots, which are those. The blood vessels are actually around it. The main blood vessels aren't. They're not even on that.
mhm.
What you're looking at right there. It's not.
Yeah.
They're around the muscles, way far away from that. So, anyways, just
Well,
saying.
do you do like I said? I mean, I know you focus a lot on the spine, but you do other bodily, medical animations such as say the heart and the brain and other parts of the body as far as animation goes.
Yeah.
What?
So,
No, go ahead.
mhm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, are you asking how I learned it, or?
Well, no, I was just kind of clarifying that you do other animations, but
Yeah.
what for you has been kind of the through this whole process been the biggest challenge? Has it been wrapping your head around a lot of the medical terms of it, or has it been more on just how it actually moves in the body and animating and getting that right?
The biggest challenge is getting exactly what the surgeon's trying to teach, because anybody can look up what's already been illustrated. You can see everything. Anybody can Google. That wasn't the hard part, even though you still have to go through that.
Yeah,
Like I said, the Starbucks. But it takes me back to the 6 months I told you about that changed my life. The 6 months doing the GRE and the Spartan notes. That allowed me to learn anything, and I continue using that method. Maybe not smiley faces so much anymore, but I take my breaks. But yeah, but it's going through that grunt work first, and then taking what you've learned back to the client, where the client said they needed X, Y, and Z. They're trying to solve this or that problem. Can you do this? After I've studied, I take it back to them and say, okay, is this the way to address it? And there's always some error. And then they say, no, you need this, you need that. Oh, okay. And then adjusting from there is way easier. After doing the homework, the studying, adjusting after coming back to them, having done it, it's way easier.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's been, but it's hard, but it's been very satisfying. It's been very interesting and fun learning it and
So
seeing it
in
work.
what you do and what you provide is a storyboard in the process, or do you just jump straight into kind of okay, I'm listening to what he wants, but let me jump in and just start trying to animate how he wants it, or do you kind of
Storyboard
sketch
first.
out, storyboard out kind of how you're visualizing it to all play out?
It's funny. It's just like the animation process that we learned
Okay.
back in school. It's just the script or general idea first is writing, 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 and then we start pinpointing what visuals we need, little sketches, dragging and dropping, references from online,
Yeah.
whether
Yep.
it's
Yep.
just Googling images, just getting a rough idea of what we're looking for, and then if it's a video animation, yeah, I give a storyboard that I
Yep.
illustrate, but I can only illustrate after studying. So
Yeah.
so I pinpoint exactly what they need,
Yep.
and then we take it to basic 3D models after they've approved the storyboard. We do basic 3D models. Don't go too far until they've approved the basic shapes and the
Yeah.
movements, timing. Timing, by the way, is tough. Sometimes I underestimate. I think
Well,
it's going to be done quickly, but it's not.
yeah, yeah, I think that's every client. They think it's going to be done
Yeah,
quickly or you can get it to them quick. But that it brings me to the point of my next question of just, because I have this challenge sometimes in doing,
yeah,
especially video work and animation work. Some clients, like I said, they don't get the work or the challenge of making changes after the fact or going
yeah,
back and making changes after the fact. Is that a
yeah.
hard thing? And I want
Yeah.
to, like I said, we were talking about just entrepreneurial business. That's a big fact about just dealing with clients and getting them to understand that. And the challenge for you in bridging, okay, yeah, there's going to be those, but moments where you kind of acquiesce to some of the things that they want, even though you know, you take
Yeah,
the proper steps and
absolutely.
try and clarify it. But those things where it's like they just completely, no, this is a total shift, and then come back and say, oh, we want something totally different, or just something totally, just that's going to take way too much time.
Yeah.
How do you bridge those gaps of kind of, like I said, educating the client on just the nature of the work that you do?
Yeah. Great question. It's a very real problem. And it happens in different levels. It can be a lot. The client's asking for a lot, a complete redo, or maybe just minor. I guess the problem is when it's big, when they're big changes that they're asking. First, what I learned is you got to fight for what you already put out. You got to
Yeah,
say, you got to tell them why. Sometimes they just need to understand why. But if that's not good enough, I would do my best. And I'm a little bit of a sucker, but I would do my best to give them that big change in one go. And if I can't get it in one go, I'm going to say, either we need more payment or edit the contract,
yeah,
or but a lot of, not a lot, but a couple of my clients are ongoing paying, so they just pay monthly,
yeah,
and that in that case is part of the job.
yeah, 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 yeah.
You're
Getting them
allowed to
kind of,
change your mind.
yeah,
Yeah, but I think what we're talking about are fixed, or even hourly. Well, it's on you. Then it's going to be more hours.
yeah,
That wouldn't be a problem. So I think the problem is when it's a fixed contract rate. They're doing this for $2,000, and they're asking for this huge change at the end. It is a real problem. So in the contract, we would normally write 3 iterations, with 50% change, with up to 50% change with 3 iterations,
yeah,
after it's claimed final, after
yeah,
it's declared final, because I want to give people the chance. People have the right to change their minds, but at the same time, there has to be a limit to it. So so that's been working out for me. I'm not saying every time is perfect. There are certainly those challenges, very real, very real.
yeah. Well, such is the nature of running a business and dealing with clients. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just the way it goes, for sure.
Yes, it's one of the
And
struggles.
like I said, this is Black Horse Animation and Designs website and
That's
some of
right.
the work. Like I said, these show notes or these links and all of this will be in the show notes for sure. And I always love, like I said, I'm a motion designer. I love anatomy and stuff. What's some of the, you're an animator and motion designer. What are some of the things that you enjoy outside of just medical animation that you've seen animation wise or motion design wise that's really kind of caught your attention, or you really like and have enjoyed?
These days, outside of the medical,
Yeah, or in the
let me
past. I
think
mean, it
about
could
it,
be something
because
in
I
the
like a lot of
past,
things.
but just something outside of medical animation that kind of helps to fuel and inspire what you do. I mean, we all have, it's good to have outside things that you do. It could be, a totally different thing outside the industry. It could be a sport, or, I saw your pool table behind you before, but, it could be whatever that kind of helps to feed your creativity. We were talking about earlier, just keeping that young kid inside you
Mhm.
inspired and going. What else outside of, the work that you do helps to do that for you?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, because we got to keep the juice flowing. We got to keep the energy going and the inspiration going. Um, I'm inspired by what other people can do. People like, whether I don't care about politics,
Yeah,
but like Elon Musk, people like, maybe Steve Jobs passed away, but people who, just watching them navigate the world and doing these incredible things, it inspires me a lot. And even though has nothing to do with our visuals industry, but as I learn more visuals, I realize it's more about human beings. It's about humanity. What they're doing is also about human beings, how to make our lives better. And what we're doing, actually, it is too. It should,
yeah,
to create more useful, better visuals, to keep the business going, you got to do things that what people need. So I love learning about what other people are doing. I still look at Instagram and Pinterest and see all these great pieces of work. For some reason, Pinterest has a lot of good artwork.
Oh man,
Um,
yeah,
I
yeah,
just love seeing other people's work and their breakdowns. It inspires me a lot when it looks photoreal and you see them showing how they started out from like boxes,
yeah,
started from a 3D block,
yeah,
and then the iterations in between. It inspires me a lot. But really, I don't want to stop it there. Music has a huge impact
yeah.
on my inspiration. And for me, it's like this synth wave. There's this new synth wave going. This kind of, this synth wave going,
Yeah.
and it keeps me focused and it gets me to think about everything that I'm doing and think about the future. Um, think about how things can be greater, like more how we can go beyond what we know.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, that's what the kind of the music I've been listening to. When I'm driving, I just think about that. It sounds maybe trivial, but yeah, it does a lot for me when I'm just kind of
No, I
zoning out the beat.
mean, I think that's the beauty of creativity in whatever form it takes. It could be a painting,
Yeah,
it could be music, it could be, sculpture. It gets you to
yeah,
feel something. If
yeah,
you feel something, I think that's what true creativity is. Whether it's you feel something as an artist doing it yourself, but it's even better when your art causes somebody else to feel something within them. So I think that's what,
yeah,
all
mm,
of us as creators and love to do. And that's our jam. We want to just create and hope that what we create touches somebody else and
yeah.
inspires them or educates them or enlightens them in some kind of way.
Yeah, sometimes I think back and I think I was probably crazy for like I don't know why I did it. Just paintings after paintings after painting, just going out, at the middle of the night for 3 hours, standing out there doing like painting a cityscape, or I remember 10 hours straight in my friend's balcony doing a cityscape, pull all nighter. I didn't. I mean, like what? Like that one was like what? I sold it for $150. It's like it's not. It's like I didn't do it for the money.
No, you
Another
didn't
one's
do it
like
for the
free.
money. It was
Most
just
of
the
them, most
pure
of them, yeah.
pure love
It
of it.
wasn't. Yeah, most of it was. I didn't make it. I never sold it. I didn't. I never tried to sell it. It's on the website, or not even on the website. Just in the back there. Just I started giving it away. So I started
No.
giving away paintings because I asked myself, am I going to be in the business of selling paintings or not? I'm thinking, no, I'm doing the biomedical stuff. I'm doing animation, the things I've worked for. No, so the paintings, just if anyone wants it, just let me know. I'll give it to you. But yeah, it's just kind of an obsession, I didn't even necessarily think, oh, how can this express myself and connect with a human being out there? I didn't even think that. That wasn't the.
Yeah.
I was just taken by the beauty. I was curious. I was interested in applying the craft, and I wanted to get to a certain level. It's compelled, just almost kind of crazy, just
Yeah.
an
And
obsession.
and I think you find, and what I found is that if you just share that, people, there is a tribe. There is people out there that like the same thing that you do.
Yeah, yeah,
As obscure as you may think it is, there's always somebody out there that enjoys the same thing that you do.
sure,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, sure,
and I think that's what you don't have to do it for a living. You don't have to make a living
yeah.
out of it if that's your thing. It could be something that's just pure enjoyment that you enjoy doing. That, like you said,
It
just
was.
makes life tolerable for you or enjoyable for you.
Enjoyment and a fight and challenge at the same time,
Yeah,
kind of like playing a game, because
yeah,
it's like a battle,
yeah.
on that
No,
painting. Yeah,
trust me, I went through kind of going through it, a little now as far as you know, trying to get myself back to this point of this pure enjoyment. The kid
oh
in
yeah,
you.
yeah,
For a long time, because I spent so much time, obviously, in the corporate world, working, paying bills, you get kind of
yeah,
burned out, or you can
yeah,
get kind of
sure,
lost in why you're really, in the enjoyment of just sitting down and creating something was, I
yeah,
found very hard to do. And it's
yeah,
taken me a while to kind of take myself back to that place of pure enjoyment. and you were talking about just the show and me doing the show. This oh, one of the reasons why I started this show. It took me back to this place of my pure enjoyment of why I got into it. Just animation,
Love it.
cartoons, comics, and it just immersed
Yeah.
me back into it. So that's why
Yeah.
we've reached 200 episodes because for me, this has gone is taking me back, and it's invigorated my passion for art and design and being creative. Whereas, like we were talking about, it's a, something that you have to guard because
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
world will really beat it out of you if you let
Yep.
it. You know,
Yep. It will. It
so
it could be
I'm
it could be
like
really
you.
tough.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm like you. I marvel at, which is like I said, why I have my friends on and I call them friends because I marvel at the fact that you still stay creative in what you do, and you're still, even though you have the ups and downs, we all have the ups and downs, we still drive for our creative passion, our creative love. So for me,
Thank you, man.
I have to surround myself around creative people. Otherwise, that's also just plummets me down and not want to be creative if I'm not being fed by
Yeah.
other creative people.
Yeah. No, same here. And it's not just painters. It's not like you said. It's also I was inspired by the programmers I worked with because I loved it when they came to me, or not came to me, but in a meeting, and just be like, dude, check this out, dude, we got this to work, look at this, and dude, it's so fucking cool. And sorry, I don't know if we can cuss here, but there's a
No,
lot of cussing because
cuss,
we're
yeah.
like we're like invigorated by it. Like just last night I was like, dude, we fucking did it, looks fucking awesome. Like that, when Andy and I, and when Andy's watching this, he'll know, like last night we worked till 2 a.m. on the rabbit game,
Yeah,
because we got the interiors working, we got the outside windows working, and in a way where we thought was almost impossible. Maybe it's not that complicated,
yeah,
but we thought it was. And it's just so exciting, and that is like the fire's back,
yeah.
so it's just
But
working. I love working with other
you
people like that. Yeah.
realize that's that thing that the creator is going for. That moment of enjoyment when you know what you were
Yeah.
working on is
Yeah.
finished, it works, it's good,
Yeah.
and you put it out as I got this, I got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
When it
yeah, I
works,
had
I'm
a
so
friend.
happy.
You marvel at people like that. I'm not a coder, and I always
Sure.
marvel at those people that just think in code. You know, they just
Sure.
speak and
Yeah.
think in code. So you
Yeah.
appreciate. That's why
Another
I
mind.
appreciate creative people in whatever form that
Yeah.
takes.
They're creative. No, they're
Just
creative. I
creative.
wouldn't be able to make that game
Yeah,
without the coder.
yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah, no, we want to create great experiences, and getting it all to work with the visuals. It's making games is one of the most like invigorating and like fun things in my life.
yeah,
I do outside of the work. Just the rabbit game, I keep going back to it, but it's because we're working on it every night. It's
yeah,
so fun, and we can't wait to get back to it all the time.
yeah.
Those little moments of holy crap, it worked.
Yeah.
That yeah,
And
I
there's
live for
true,
that.
and really, like I said, it's there's true power in that. You know, we both know gaming industry is billions of dollars,
Yeah.
and that's not just in just talking entertainment games. We know the power of gaming in education and being able to educate something if you
Hmm.
gamify it.
Hmm.
So that's
Yep.
why I mean it's
Yep.
motion design and creativity is just it's such a powerful thing, in whatever form that you can present it and
It
make
is.
it, because it really has the power to transform somebody's life, educate somebody, and really bring people together in a way that just we haven't had before.
Yeah, I mean, think of it like this: is why do so many kids not want to do school? Like, don't want to do homework? Why is homework so dry? But at the same time, the chemistry, science, physics, these are things that build our civilization. We wouldn't have the nice things we have without it. So we know it's important. We know that it's great. It's fantastic. The tech we have, but so many kids don't like to dive
No,
into it. It's
no,
because they made it distasteful and boring in the
no,
schools.
no.
But on the other side, games, even if it's just a stupid dumb game, it can still be really fun, and kids get into it. Why don't we
Yeah.
marry the two?
Well, I
Why
think
don't
they're
we put it
starting to
together?
get
That's what I'm
that.
thinking.
I mean, I think schools. I think teachers understand that now. I think teachers
Yeah.
today understand, hey, we got to reach these kids in a much different way than how I was reached, or how we were reached before. Like I said,
Yeah.
kids nowadays, they're coming out the womb already electronically savvy. They know
Yeah.
electronics, so they know, okay, we gotta educate the kids and engage them in a different way. Their challenge is getting the funding and the backing to do that, to be able to
Hmm.
support,
Yeah.
hey, these kids, they're learning in different ways now. So we got to
Hmm.
reach them in different ways. And that's
Yeah.
where I feel like AR and VR has such power in being able to, like I said, connect us
Hmm.
even in a world, and educate us in the world in a much better way. And I've seen
Hmm.
some interesting ways people are using not only AR but VR and some of these mixed reality
Hmm. Yeah.
applications. I
It's
ran
it's
into
fun.
one. I connected with one lady. She's using VR in uh, elderly facilities. She's going around and partnering with
Oh
elderly
yeah.
facilities
I remember
to
it. That's
stimulate
crazy. Yeah.
people, to stimulate the residents' minds and keep them engaged. So there's so many potential
And
ways of how it can be used. It's just you have
and
to
you said
think
she's selling well.
creatively.
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
You said she's selling well too. Like the elderly are engaging and they're buying it.
yeah, yeah.
And they're
And it's being proactive about, really, it's being proactive. I think that's what's coming down to the creative now, because of all the changes in the industry, layoffs and things like that. Creatives are now starting to have to be business savvy in
Mhm.
controlling their destiny and learn and being able to control their own IP. So they're now having to think of creative ways and being proactive about going to companies and businesses and showing again the value of what the services that they offer and the talent that they have, is showing them the value of how that can help them. So with
Yeah.
her, it's going around to these elderly facilities, and trust me, the elderly percentage is increasing. So she knows that's a demographic that's just increasing as far as the elderly population, and she knows
Yeah.
that there's a trouble with just our cognitive abilities with a lot of people as we get older. So going around, so she's having them to know that, of course, you got to be, you're going to have to be proactive and put in the work. It's not just
Yeah.
going to go. Like I said, it's going out and being proactive
Yeah.
and going to these facilities and saying, hey, this is what I offer. This is the value of what it can bring of to the residents in your facility, and what you can offer out as just an amenity for people coming into your facilities. Hey, we have this VR capability that
Sure.
we can use as a getaway. We're going over to Africa this Friday
Yeah.
in a VR experience type of thing. So it's just something that you have to show them that it's a value add that they can offer out to get people, obviously, residents in. So it's
Yeah.
showing the
At
value
least
add.
totally, and at least let it be one of the options.
Yeah.
What games did for me as a kid, maybe not as a kid, even just in college playing games, it kind of opens your mind a bit. Of course, you should be doing your homework. You should be doing the things you need to do in real life. I do not advocate people playing like 11 hours a day. I don't. I never did that. I
Oh,
don't get it.
goodness, but there are.
Yeah, no, well, that's just like anything, burger, you don't want to, don't eat, 5 burgers a day, but people do it, people do play it excessively and they shouldn't. I'm not saying that it's all good, but it opened my mind to things when I played. Just like the paintings back when I was a kid, it showed me different ways of thinking because
Mm,
every game is different. They
yeah.
function differently and learning systems, different systems and being fun at the same time. That if it opened my mind as a kid or younger, I believe that can open or trigger people's minds when they're older.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, and I spoke with another VR developer who said they found a way to treat PTSD, to
Yeah.
to eliminate it with VR,
VR.
with
Yeah.
the visuals, and it's not what you would expect. There's specific ways where they partner with the psychiatrist for specific sounds and imagery that actually works. I don't know exactly they are, but it's not what you might expect. It's not like walking around in a nice field
Yeah.
or being on a scene or something. It's something that kind of abstract, but it's just there's so many opportunities
The
in this field.
possibility of how you can,
Possibilities are
that's the
crazy.
thing. It's the possibility of how it can be used. And that's
Yeah,
why technology excites me
yeah,
in the hands of creatives. That's why this time, I love this time that we're in, because we have all these different platforms, different more powerful software, more
hmm,
accessible software, more powerful equipment, more
yeah,
channels to get our stuff out there. This is a
yeah,
great time to be creative, to create something that can truly make a difference and make, a difference in somebody's life and people's lives.
yeah,
And I think, like I
yeah,
said, that's where the person that succeeds is going to be, where they're able to show the value of what they offer and how it can help whoever it is that they're offering it to. And
yeah,
VR, I feel like it has obviously the potential to, one, not only educate but educate safely.
sure,
There's a lot of positions and industries out there that, yeah, you want to learn, but it's very dangerous to learn on the
hmm,
job.
yeah,
So being able to train in a
good advocate.
safe environment before you get onto that makes
Yeah,
it that much better. So being
yeah,
able to go to, say, a company like Exxon or whatever, and clearly articulate that to them and say, hey, if you gamify this process that you have and show it to your trainers, how much more they want to see the bottom line. So if you can show them, hey, this will save you this much money, and retraining your workers with this because they got the muscle memory because they played it in a video game type of thing,
yeah.
showing
And we
them
might
the
have to branch
value.
out.
That's the bottom
Yeah,
line for a company. You got to show them the value of how it's going to benefit them. It may not be, immediate, if it's not an immediate ROI, showing them the long term ROI, if it's what they'll gain if they use this and utilize it, that type of thing. So clearly articulating the value is where we as
mhm,
creators are going to excel and rise above, being able to show the ones that are able to clearly show the value of the skill that they have,
yeah,
rather than just be an
absolutely.
order taker type of thing. Chung, fascinated to hear two colleagues with such deep experience have such a good conversation. That's what this show is all about. Have a great weekend. Appreciate you, Chung. Make sure that you tune in, subscribe, so that you are always notified of when we go live. But that is the purpose of this show, is to really enlighten and educate people so that it may spark an idea, it may give them a different way of looking at something, or some tip, trick, or resource that they can go to. So I feel like I've done my job with this show. That's why I do this show. That's why I
It's such a
love,
good,
love,
yeah,
love my
it's such a good
guests.
platform that you have because I don't get to share my story like this, with any, maybe a one-on-one conversation with somebody, but it doesn't get broadcasted like this. And
Now,
yeah, I know. Thank you
and
for this.
I
It's
tell
great.
all my guests they should be doing that. I was telling you this before the show. You should be doing speaking, doing talks and things like that. That's how, you help to educate people. So I know a lot of people are kind of, creators. We're shy people. A lot of people don't like getting in front of the stage. I'm not. I don't consider myself an extrovert per se,
Dude,
but
you're perfect at this, dude. But dude, just your setup and everything, your the way you speak so smoothly. Like I want to do it, but if I were on my own, it's just not the same. If I'm speaking to the camera on my own, it's just not the same. Like
well,
you're
I
asking
will
me these
suggest
questions,
then
I can,
I
yeah,
would suggest for you maybe get a co-host, because that, even though this is my third show that I've done. My first show was a long time ago, but it was a solo show and it was just coffee and conversation early in the morning, Saturday mornings type of thing. But my second show I did with my friend, and it was more business related, creative related. But it helped having somebody to play off of and
yeah,
bounce off of. And it
yeah.
can take
Also
that kind
scale,
of angst of being a solo person. But
yeah.
uh,
No, this is great. Yeah, I love it.
I've gotten used to it though. And I love my viewers. I love my fans. I love my friends that come on. That's why
cool,
we
man.
are hitting 200 episodes, because I have such fun when I do these shows and I learn so much. Just like you, the viewers, I'm sitting here learning from my guests and absorbing things from my guests and friends that come on just like you are. So we're all here to connect. We're all here to learn. And I can't thank you. And I always tell everybody, time goes by quick. We're already a half hour and a half in. So
That's quick. That didn't even
it
feel like it.
goes by so quick. And as I, start to bring this train into the station, I want you to tell, what one you feel like a person should be aware of, kind of coming out, and if they have illusions of getting into the industry and wanting to do this, what are like three things that you think they should be aware of and keep in mind, as they go through this industry and get into this industry?
Number one is business. That the business matters, the economics matter, especially as creative and artists. Creative people and artists, you tend to just not want to think about business. In fact, people think business is evil, or think money is evil. And there's that huge. It's not just contained to artists. A lot of people think that, but without the business working, how are you going to keep doing what you want to do? You have to think about the business. And when I say business, that's kind of an empty word. What it really means is how you're going to solve somebody's problem, how you're going to help people, how you're going to add value to society. It's not just about making yourself important, but yeah, make yourself important. Put yourself somewhere where your very able body can be useful, and your life will be better that way. You'll have more fun. You will meet more people. Think about how to connect with people, figure out what they need, what their pain points are, what they want. They want super high quality visuals because they want to sell to high net worth individuals. But to get there and learn that from them and speak to the person who needs it, that's what you need to
Yeah.
to get to the end customer right away. Talk to as many people as possible. It is being an extrovert. Even if you're an introvert, you can do it politely. You can do it through email first, and then
Yeah.
you don't have to be extrovert all the time. But please speak to people, talk to people, people in pain, people with problems. Don't be afraid to use LinkedIn and reach out to the CEOs at the top. Um, LinkedIn Sales Navigator when you're starting out. It's a little expensive. It sounds like it's $99 a month, but you can reach the CEOs of companies. You can reach the decision makers of companies. You can pitch your ideas immediately right there. So once you get that demand, once you get somebody saying, yeah, we need something like this, and then you can start thinking about the pricing and things like that. Maybe going without super high prices, but eventually try to work your way up to what's fair to you,
Yeah.
sooner rather than later too, because people also take advantage of the low pricing. I want to be careful of that. But yeah, business. Don't forget that number one, aside from your work. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so powerful. And you guys know how I when my guests drop bombs, I drop a bomb. So
I love it, man. That's awesome.
yes, that was a bomb. And to that point, and we mentioned him earlier in the episode. If you want to know the business of being creative, I highly suggest you follow Chris Do. Better yet, check out my episode with Chris that I had. And that's the reason I listen to him, because he's a creative himself, and he knows about business. And one thing I have learned, and is in it's written in steel, is it's a mindset shift. It's a mindset change from going from just creative to actually running a business. And even if you're a solo creative, you have to be knowledgeable in how to run yourself as a business, to be able to do the financing, to be able to know bookkeeping, who to know hire as a bookkeeping lawyer, all that stuff. You still need to be aware of. You're not going to do it yourself. You're going to hire a team, but you have to know that that's something that you got to take care of, whether you're a solo creator or whether you're a company, enterprise. You got to know the business, and you got to know the numbers, and you got to know how to talk to clients. And
Yep.
Chris is a master at that. So definitely, if
Yep.
that's something that you want to learn, I highly suggest following Chris Doe. Better, like I said, better yet, check out the episode I had with him. That was a great episode, and that was a definitely a great one that I was able to get. So definitely something I know that creators need is education in how to run a business and how to manage their own business, even if it's the business of them. So
Yep. Even if it's just yourself.
yeah, even if it's the business of you, your brand, you
Yeah.
got to know how to run your brand.
Yep.
So definitely
Yeah.
make sure you check out the show notes. Uh, Make sure that you connect with Halleck on all his channels. And again, all of this stuff will be on the show notes. Check out his website, My 3D Anatomy. And also going to put Black Horse animation and design on there as well. Connect with him on LinkedIn. That's how we initially got connected before I found out that his family is here and we met in
Yep.
person. But make sure that you connect with him and reach out to him. I'm sure he has no problem with meeting new people and getting connected. That's what this show is all about, for sure. Halleck, man, I can't thank you enough, brother, for coming
Thank
on
you. I love this,
and
man. I love
and
this.
and being a part of the Color of Motion family, man. Like I said, you are now a part
Me
of the
too.
family.
Cool.
Definitely. I hope you stop by on our 200th episode, pop in and say hello. But definitely, we're gonna have to have you back on and have another episode to dive even deeper into the
Yeah.
industry of motion design. But
Let's do
again,
it.
I can't thank you enough for coming on,
You too,
being
man.
a part, man.
You too. I love the opportunity of being able to share my journey and story, and hope to connect with people. Hope that it helps somebody. But also, if you have some answers, let me know what you know about the development of VR or the use of 3D models in medicine or in other industries. I'm very, very open to talk about that anytime. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. Reach out to me there. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Halleck, if you can hang out in the green room for just a second while I close out the show, I appreciate it. Give me a chance to holler at you before I let you go. But again, everybody, please, 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 please help me thank again Mr. Halleck Sway for coming on, my Halleck, and sharing his insight and passion. Hang out for a
Thank you,
second,
man.
Halleck. Man, oh man, this was a great one. Boy, I always get juice when I come back from hiatus. I mean, I'm a little nervous. I'm always a little nervous when I come back from hiatus. But man, once I get into the show, get to talking with my guests, I get juiced. I get this. This gives me a high um, that you just can't explain. I just can't explain. Like I said, I get crazy nervous before I hit that go live button. But when I do, man, I love it. I love the energy. I love my guests. I love my viewers. I love you for giving me just a little bit of your time. I cannot thank you enough for doing this. Man, like I said, I can't believe we're on the back half of season 5. We got some amazing things planned for sure. Next week's show is going to be even more fire. Like I said, this season 5 has been amazing. Next week, I'm super excited for. I got my man, Mr. Rashid Eiffel, coming on, 3D environment artist and 2D animator. We're going to sit and have a great time talking about 3D and animation. Man, I feel so blessed. I really do. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the work of it all and just things not working out sometimes and things not going the way you want. But man, when I sit down and think about it, I'm really blessed in the fact that I get to do what I really do love to do. And I hope that's another thing that people kind of pull from it. You know, we all get caught up in life. It's easy to. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in that 9 to 5 day job type of thing. But like we were talking about before, you have to try and keep that child inside of you that enjoys just having fun and just the things that you did and had an optimistic outlook on things. You have to fight to keep that person alive now, especially in nowadays times. So I hope this helps. The show does a little bit of that. Again, I cannot thank you enough for giving me a little bit of your time. And I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers, everybody.